Let me tell you something that no motivational speaker, no self-help guru, and no well-meaning friend will ever say to your face. No one is coming. Not your parents, not your mentor, not the universe, not God arranging circumstances in your favor while you sit there waiting. The brutal, uncomfortable, soul-shaking truth is that the life you are dreaming about will never arrive like a package delivered to your door. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your own mediocrity, and until you accept that with your entire being, you will continue outsourcing your salvation to people and systems that were never designed to carry you. The question is not whether help will arrive. The real question is, what are you doing right now while you wait for something that will never come? There's a philosophy that has survived emperors, slaves, wars, and centuries of human collapse: Stoicism. Not the kind of Stoicism that tells you to suppress your emotions and smile through suffering. The real Stoicism, the kind that looks you dead in the eye and says, the obstacle is the path, the discomfort is the teacher, and the only power you will ever truly possess is the power over your own mind. This video is not here to comfort you. It is here to intellectually dismantle the passive life you have been living and reconstruct something far more powerful in its place. Are you ready for that? Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man on earth. He commanded armies, ruled an empire, and held the fate of millions in his hands. And yet, every single morning, before the world demanded anything from him, he sat alone with his journal and wrote to himself, not as an emperor, but as a student. He wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Epictetus, born a slave, owned nothing, controlled nothing externally, and yet became one of the most psychologically free men in recorded history. He taught that suffering begins the moment you believe something outside yourself is responsible for your inner state. And Seneca, writing from the edge of death, warned us, "It is not that I am brave. It is that I have decided what matters." These men did not wait. They worked. They studied. They mastered themselves first. The central idea of Stoicism, when stripped of all academic complexity, is devastatingly simple. You cannot control the world, but you can absolutely, completely, and ruthlessly control how you respond to it. This is called the dichotomy of control, and it is perhaps the most psychologically liberating concept ever articulated by human thought. Most people spend their entire lives pouring energy into external outcomes: reputation, approval, financial luck, relationship outcomes, things that are fundamentally outside their jurisdiction. The Stoics called this tektos, the external things, and they warned that to chase them without first mastering yourself is to live as a slave dressed in the clothing of a free person. Real power is internal. Real power is the ability to study when you feel lazy, to train when you feel broken, to think clearly when the world is screaming chaos into your ears. No one grants you that power. You build it, brick by brick, day by day, decision by decision. And here is what most people never figure out: that building process never ends. It is the point. Here is where psychology becomes brutally honest. The human brain is hardwired for comfort-seeking and threat avoidance. Neuroscience confirms that your default mode network, the part of your brain that daydreams and wanders, tends to gravitate toward passive fantasies of rescue rather than active strategies of self-construction. You imagine the mentor who will finally believe in you. You wait for the opportunity that aligns perfectly with your current level of effort. Psychologists call this external locus of control, the deep-seated belief that life happens to you rather than through you. And the terrifying thing is that this belief feels completely rational. Society reinforces it constantly. Social media rewards victimhood. Culture glamorizes being discovered rather than being developed. The waiting feels productive because it is dressed up in hope. But hope without discipline is simply wishful thinking wearing a philosophical costume. The mind that waits to be saved will always find justification for why saving has not yet arrived. Ryan Holiday, who reintroduced Stoicism to the modern world through The Obstacle is the Way, puts it directly: the impediment to action advances action, and what stands in the way becomes the way. James Clear, in Atomic Habits, reframes identity not as something you discover, but something you build through repeated, intentional behavior. You do not find a disciplined person inside yourself. You become one by making disciplined choices until the choices become automatic. Mark Manson strips away the comfortable illusions and says plainly that everything worth having in life requires suffering of some kind, and the only real question is which suffering you are willing to choose. Robin Sharma, in the 5 a.m. Club, argues that mastery is not reserved for the talented. It belongs to those who show up in the darkness before the world wakes up and does the invisible work that no audience will ever applaud. These thinkers are not motivational entertainers. They are modern translators of an ancient operating system. And the operating system says the same thing in every language. You are responsible. You are capable. And the clock is running. Stop, right now in this moment. I need you to do something deeply uncomfortable. I need you to identify one area of your life where you have been silently, secretly waiting for someone or something to fix it. Your career, your health, your relationships, your mental state. Got it? Now accept this. The waiting has been a choice. Every day you did not study was a vote for ignorance. Every day you did not train was a vote for physical weakness. Every day you consumed without creating was a vote for a smaller version of yourself. Epictetus did not wait for Rome to free him. He freed his mind first, and his life followed. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need more time, more resources, or more encouragement. You need a decision so firm that circumstances become irrelevant. The responsibility is not a burden placed on you. It is the greatest freedom you will ever be offered. Will you take it? Now let us build the system. Because philosophy without practice is nothing more than intellectual entertainment. First, implement a morning reflection practice before your phone, before the noise. 5 minutes of silence where you ask yourself, what is within my control today, and what am I choosing to focus on? Second, begin journaling with Stoic prompts. Marcus Aurelius journaled not to feel good, but to self-correct. Write what you avoided yesterday and why. Name the discomfort you ran from. Third, practice voluntary discomfort deliberately. Take the cold shower, skip the unnecessary comfort, fast for a meal. Not for performance, but to prove to your nervous system that it does not control you. Fourth, study aggressively and consistently. Not passively consuming content, but reading with a pen, questioning ideas, and applying concepts within 24 hours. Fifth, train your body as Marcus did, not for aesthetics, but as a daily demonstration that your mind commands your body and not the reverse. These are not suggestions. This is the architecture of a mind that cannot be broken by ordinary circumstances. Consider a young man who grew up in a household where education was never prioritized, where resources were scarce, and where the environment offered every reasonable excuse for underachievement. For years he waited for a teacher who believed in him, for a break that felt fair, for life to become less difficult before he began. One day, he read a single line from Epictetus: "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." He began waking at 5 in the morning. He read 1 book per month. He trained his body 3 days per week. Within 2 years, his circumstances had not dramatically changed, but his relationship with those circumstances had transformed entirely. He stopped waiting. And in that stopping, everything else began. This is the part they never tell you about self-discipline. The goal is not the result. The goal is who you become in the pursuit of the result. Every morning you choose to study instead of scroll. You are casting a vote for a more intellectually powerful version of yourself. Every training session you complete when motivation has completely abandoned you is a statement about who you are at your core. James Clear calls this identity-based habit formation. You stop saying, "I want to be disciplined," and you start saying, "I am someone who does the work regardless of how I feel." Over time, this identity becomes structural. It becomes the lens through which you see every challenge, every setback, and every opportunity. You are no longer a person waiting to be saved. You have become the person other people look at and quietly wonder, how did they build that kind of mind? No one is coming. Say it again until it stops frightening you and starts freeing you. The Stoics did not build their philosophy on comfort. They built it on clarity, and the clearest truth available to any human being is this: you are the variable. Not your past, not your environment, not your circumstances. You. Study relentlessly. Train with intention. Master the one mind you were given. Drop a comment below telling me one thing you are taking full responsibility for starting today. Your answers will challenge everyone watching. And if this video shook something awake inside you, subscribe to the channel, because this channel exists for exactly the person you are becoming.